Carolina, molta gent et recorda amb afecte per les teves pel·lícules, et reconeixen pel carrer. Què és el que, allò que més il·lusió et fa quan algú et ve i et reconeix i et diu «Ei, què ets tu?» Què és el que més il·lusió t'ha fet en aquest sentit?
Many people cherish your career, your films, they love your films. And when they see you, for example, like on the street or maybe an event like this, and they recognize you and come to say hi or something, what's the most thing you like about these situations or encounters of people recognizing you?
It is a strange thing because it makes me feel very humble if people have seen my work. I feel very humbled by it and excited that they bother to come up to me and say hello. It happens in England a little bit, not all the time. I go out in my jogging and my hat and very simple. But if I go to shows, it happens a lot when I go to the conventions and things. And I think it's a lovely thing that people do bother to come and see, if they come and see me at the events, at the conventions. Because it's a sort of a give back in a way, because they come and it's a meeting. It's a thank you from me to them, and it meets in the middle. You know what I mean? Yeah, do you understand? It's lovely. I feel very humbled by it. I'm still amazed at my age now that I still get to work, which is incredible, and come to places like Biretana. Barcelona. 10th anniversary. Well done. Our boss, Sabina.
Thank you.
Who sits here. Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you. Tradueixo tot el que ha dit? Vale, no tenies present. Vale, ok. Perdoneu. Bueno, diu la...
It's a very nice question. Very different. It's very different. And I don't get asked that, but thank you.
Moltes gràcies per aquesta pregunta tan diferent i especial. Llavors, és força estrany perquè estic molt contenta que la gent hagi vist tota la meva feina, tota la meva carrera o les meves pel·lícules. Em sento molt emocionada. I això passa sobretot al Regne Unit o a Anglaterra, molt sovint, a vegades no tant, però és una cosa que m'agrada moltíssim, em sento molt honorada també, i és una forma com d'amor de la gent que ha vist la meva feina i que s'acosten a mi per saludar-me o reconèixer aquesta feina que jo he fet durant molts anys. Això ho he compartit. I moltes gràcies per la pregunta, que no m'ho pregunten molt i és una pregunta molt bonica.
La meva pregunta és més típica que la del Jordi. Ella està sobretot recordada per haver treballat al Hammer, a pesar que només va fer 2 pel·lícules amb ells. M'agradaria saber com era treballar a la Hammer i sobretot si era cert que ella era l'única actriu que tenia contracte amb la Hammer.
Yeah, you're talking about Hammer films, aren't you? Yes, I did have a contract for Hammer, which was wonderful. I did the 2 films, Captain Cronus, Vampire Hunter, and Dracula AD 72. It was a wonderful experience. We had about a 4-week shoot to do each film. One was done, I never get this right, Sabina knows it. Which film I think I did first would be Captain Cronus. Yes, Captain Cronus was the first one, even though it had a long time to be shown. It was shown in 74, so it had a slow release. Because at the time, I think all the Hammer people and Sir James Carreras and maybe Michael Carreras didn't feel that it had what it took to be. It wasn't the normal Hammer film. It didn't have the blood, the necessary hardcore stuff and it maybe wasn't as gothic. But what it did have, it had an esoteric feel to it, and I think. Looking back, it was way ahead of its time. Because when you look at the films, you look at the... oops. When you look at the you look at the later films, especially Tarantino, and you look at Buffy the Vampire Hunter and Twilight, all the Twilight television things, they gave a nod to Hammer and also to Brian's cleverness, Brian Clements, who was not only our director but our writer. So I think it's a beautiful little film, very well crafted. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but it's very clever, and it's different because yes, it was a vampire, but he didn't drain blood; he drained the youth, and that was where Brian was inspirational. Really loved working on that film. I liked it because we were outside, and it was very naturalistically shot. We had very little. Maybe a few, just the thingies that you put out, I can't think what you call them, the shiny things that you can shine a little bit. Mostly natural light, mostly shot outside. Interesting weather, because we shot in England towards the autumn, so it was cold. And I had one very scruffy outfit to wear. My character was a gypsy, but she was very much... she lived on her own and she was used to being on her own, but also, she was quite, I think she was a kind soul. I think inside she was very kind, but she wasn't a pushover. But she did fall in love with the main man, who was Captain Cronus, very dashing, played by Horst Janssen, wonderful swordsman and a great actor, and a joy to work with. So that was Captain Cronus, and it's gone on now to be a really recognised film. It's a good film. And then because I had the contract, I got to work with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing I worked with twice later on in my career, but I think I was very, very nervous to work on the film because I was working with two huge stars, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. But also I was working with a lot of very established young actors. I think maybe I was the youngest, but not necessarily. But they had all been to school, they'd all studied hard at school. So that made me more nervous. But in fact, when I got on set, the people were wonderful. They, Oh, Sabina, so sorry. Oh my God, I forget.
It's fine.
Not really. I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
No, it's fine.
I did only have 2 coffees, not 3. I'm so sorry.
It's alright.
Oh, well done, Jane.
No espereu que posaré més temps extra. Segur que us va bé que jo us tradueixi tot el que diu després? O ho dic pel temps i tal?
Bueno,
a mi em va bé que vagis dient, perquè si hi ha alguna cosa que potser ens interessa, podria fer una rèplica d'algú que no s'haguem pillat.
Que us va bé que després de que parli us tradueixi.
Sí, la gran part l'entenem, però si hi ha alguna cosa que se'ns escapa, llavors, si més o menys...
Okay. So, I'm gonna translate all that. No. Vale. Sobre la teva pregunta, que sí que és cert que era l'única dona que tenia contracte amb la Hammer, que havia fet 2 pel·lícules. Ella diu que sí, que tenia aquest contracte amb la Hammer, amb aquestes 2 pel·lícules, Capitán Cronos i Dràcula 72, o Dràcula Exit, amb Christopher Lee. I ha començat parlant sobretot de la pel·lícula de Capitán Cronos, que per ella va ser un rodatge molt bonic. Van rodar durant 4 setmanes i sempre hi ha una mica de confusió amb aquestes 2 pel·lícules de la Hammer sobre la data de que es va rodar. Ella sempre comenta que Capitán Cronos, de fet, la va rodar abans de Dràcula. El que passa que després del rodatge va tenir com una post-sortida al mercat una mica més lenta, però realment va rodar Capitán Cronos abans de Dràcula. També això va passar així perquè per la Hammer no era com la típica pel·lícula gòtica de la Hammer, era una proposta diferent. Era un vampir, però no que xuclava sang, sinó que xuclava la joventut. Era un altre tipus de vampir, o posada en escena típica de la Hammer, no? Vale. Ella diu que era com una pel·lícula potser més esotèrica, això, no? I al mateix temps avançada al seu temps. Diu que per ella veu coses d'aquesta pel·lícula avui en dia en pel·lícules com Twilight o coses de Tarantino o d'altres directors que han begut bastant d'aquesta pel·lícula innovadora, no? Una pel·lícula molt important perquè el Brian Clemens no era només el director, sinó també el guionista, l'escriptor d'aquesta història. Diu, un home molt intel·ligent, una pel·lícula molt intel·ligent amb propostes molt innovadores. És un rodatge que es va fer majoritàriament en exteriors, amb llum natural, tot i ser un rodatge fet a Anglaterra, en el qual el temps no és molt amable, sí que van aconseguir tenir aquesta llum natural i una llum exterior molt bona, molt ben aconseguida. I'm summarizing.
I know, I'm
No,
so
it's
sorry,
fine.
that's awful.
De nou, amb aquesta pel·lícula, Capità Cronos, ella està molt contenta del seu personatge que interpretava una gitana, tot i que sempre diu que portava aquestes pintes una mica així desordenades o una mica brotinyol, com a gitana, però que era un personatge amb una ànima molt bondadosa, un personatge que s'enamora del Capità Cronos, per això diu, té aquesta ànima tan pura, no? Sobre l'actor que interpretava el Capità Cronos, diu que era un molt bon actor. És una pel·lícula que, amb el temps ha anat guanyant reconeixement i avui en dia, molta gent la reconeix com una gran pel·lícula. Llavors ha passat ja a parlar de Dràcula AD, o Dràcula 72, en la qual va treballar amb Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, amb el qual va treballar 2 vegades, i ha començat dient que estava molt nerviosa al principi del rodatge, perquè, clar, eren 2 estrelles ja molt consolidades i ella era potser de les més joves dins d'aquesta pel·lícula, no? I aquí és ja ho podem parlar.
Yeah, no, I understood that.
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Quan vas començar com a professional, eres model, vas passar ràpidament al cinema i malgrat no començar una pel·lícula de terror, però bàsicament tota la carrera ha sigut de terror i fantàstic. És un gènere que t'agradava o realment són les oportunitats laborals les que t'han dit que no?
Okay. I did start as a model, yeah.
Do you understand Spanish?
No,
or Catalan?
You speak very well Catalan.
Joking. No.
So Ferran said you began your career as a model and then you start in the movie industry at cinema. And even though you filmed all sorts of films, mainly you were in films of horror, science fiction or fantasy. Is it a genre or genres that you like, or it was the circumstances that found you maybe?
That's an interesting question. I did start out as a model purely by accident. Or everything, I didn't choose to be an actress. I had no thought in my head about acting. I thought if I was good at, I'm very dyslexic, so if I was good at anything, the thing I could do the best was art. And even that I wasn't great at, but I thought, that was maybe going to be my way. Maybe window dressing in a shop, maybe, working with fabric, something. But when my school closed down, not due to me, I was offered a place in Brighton by the seaside, south coast. I was offered a place at Brighton Art College, only for Saturday mornings to break me in. I was only 16. I was very, very young. So I went there, school finished, great. No more trying to read and no more, I could maybe do a bit of art. So went there, did Saturdays. There was a young man there studying photography. And he said to me, well, can I take a picture of you? Can I take some pictures? I said, yes, if you want to. He was older than I was. We took pictures. We went to this beautiful manor house outside Brighton, beautiful grounds. And I remember I had no shoes, barefoot, just very simple, just a jumper, very simple. And he asked my mother after if he could send the photo to a newspaper there was a very famous photographer called David Bailey. He was married to Catherine Deneuve, way back, and many ladies. But anyway, he was very beautiful and the best photographer, possibly, certainly in England and possibly around, like Helmut Newton. He was one of these really fabulous photographers. Anyway, I won the competition. I don't know how, but the picture, my friend at the art school had said, won the picture. And then I found myself, I was called, it sounds funny, I was called the face of 1966, and it was all over the newspapers. And my father, we were so, it was strange, to say the least. Anyway, I started, my first job was in Malta. I was working for Vogue, 16 working for Vogue. Anyway, I did that for sweaters, for jumpers. And then after that, the casting people at from the original Casino Royale, you're all too young to know any of this, but the original Casino Royale came to my modelling agency, and they said, we want to choose some ladies to be in the film, extras, no speaking, extras. So they went, that one. So I was there. Again, strange, but I found myself at Elstree Studios, MGM, and on the set with Woody Allen, as you do, and Orson Welles, David Niven, huge English-American stars. And I was an extra, and I started, so that was my first foray watching film. I wanted to watch film. I wanted to see. At 16, I asked my director, Valges, can I just sit and watch? The other girls went to have lunch. He said, yes, you sit, but you're very quiet. You can just look. That's what I did. Because I had no training, which I didn't really think about at the time, I absorbed what I was seeing. I was watching the lighting, I was watching the actors working, see how they work. I was watching the director. So I always, it sounds funny, but I call myself a little sponge. So I absorbed. and that was my first. That was my first. And then after that, things seemed to come to me, to my agent and to me. And through an advert I did in England, which was, am I doing it too much again? You just go like that, go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Too many coffees.
So, no, only 2 today, not 3.
Oh my God. I don't want to interrupt, and it's fascinating everything you say, and I'm just carried away by the story.
Sorry.
But I understand. You understand.
I think you can understand. I'm so sorry.
Us ho tradueixo
Per mi...
Jo ho he pillat.
Sí.
Ho hem pillat per ara.
Sí?
Sí. Si tinc alguna dubte, després...
Are you all
Sí,
okay?
preguntem.
Sí. A veure si pot focalitzar.
I mean, I can go on.
No, they are fine with everything you said, but Ferran was asking about...
I've gone off on a tangent, I think.
No, that's okay. But more specific
regarding horror.
Fantastic movies, horror, that you like.
Okay, and I was kind of getting there a bit. So in England, I was, again, strangely chosen to do these big billboards, huge billboards, posters, all around England. And it was for Lamb's Navy Rum, which was a man's drink, a strong rum. And the posters were quite saucy. They were quite, at the time, I wore, they made for me wetsuits, like you do diving suits. But what they did, they made the zips down there, sort of down there. So we had lots of toupee tape to stick everything. And buckets of water, so I was wet. And on my thigh, I had knives strapped to so I was like a deep sea diver, so I had it sounds very odd, doesn't it?
You can play.
But it's, what's that?
People can play.
Aquí m'hi
Yes,
sí,
there
sí.
you go.
Sí, aquí ens...
Ella diu que
Yeah.
després d'aquesta campanya, tot el que ha explicat abans del model, per tot arreu del Regne Unit hi havia aquests pòsters gegants, cartells gegants, d'aquesta marca de ron, que es deia Navy Ron. Llavors la feien sortir amb ella amb aquests trajes de buceo, però bastant picantones, la cremallera una mica fins aquí, i li tiraven com aigua perquè quedés tot com més així, picantón i tal. Llavors que a més la feien portar com un ganivet o com si ella fos una buceadora total.
Like a saber, like a,
Sí, com un ganivet aquí o eines com per anar a caçar a la mar. I és el que estava explicant ara.
Right, I'm getting to the point now. I'm nearly there. So, knife there. Sir James Carreras of Hammer used to travel up and down by train to the south coast, to Brighton. And he'd seen the posters because you couldn't miss them. They were huge, all over the place. So the train would pass by, train would stop, he'd see the poster. He asked his assistant, Jimmy Liggett, he said, "Can you find that girl? I want to see her in my office." So eventually they went to they found me. I was found, went to the office, we had an interview, and he said, "I'd like to do a screen test." We did a screen test with a wonderful director called Peter Collinson, who did big films, and he was great. So we did the screen test, and then after that I was offered a contract to do the 2 films, which I did, Dracula AD 72 and Captain Cronus. And I tell you what, talk about family. It was Sir James Carreras and Michael Carreras, his son, and it worked well. It was like a well-oiled machine because they'd been doing the Dracula with Christopher and Peter for many years before. So I came into it in the 70s, early 70s, and a little bit towards the end of Hammer, sadly, but I got to do these 2 wonderful films, and I stand by them. Especially Dracula AD has a special place in my heart because having not been trained at all theatrically, I became the character. For that time, that moment in time during the filming, I was that hedonistic, young, carefree girl, Laura Bellows. I actually became her, and I realized I had become her, and it was a very strange thing. It was an important scene too because it was his first bite. So I was his first bite, and I'd asked Alan Gibson I don't want to see him before he comes out dressed as Dracula, because I got to know him on the set before. So when he did come out, we did the first bit of the scene on the altar with Christopher Neame, wonderful English actor. We did that, lots of blood, lots of improvised. We could only do 1 take because I just had that, so we did the 1 take with that. And it felt good for both young Christopher Neame and myself. It felt good. And I fell off the altar. I kind of did because I was in the moment. And then through the curtain, through the church, it was a deconsecrated church, then he came. And when I saw him in his full garb, white face, red eyes, black cape, red lining, I was there. I was that girl. I was Laura Bellows. And I was frightened. And we had no rehearsal with it. We had no rehearsal. So we just went with what came naturally. And then the bite. And then I was gone. But yeah, that was a true moment for me as a young actress, thinking, yeah, I want to do this. I actually think I can. But having said that, sometimes, actually a lot of times on film, I haven't got, as I say, to the sweet spot. I haven't got there. So therefore, you know when you're faking it, You know when it's real and when it's not. And a lot of times I've been very disappointed in what I've done. But for Kronos and Dracula, I stand by them. I think they're lovely films. And also John Gore is now the new head of Hammer, and he's reviving a lot of stuff. And I'm so excited to see if he's going to make more films. So Hammer holds a really good place in my heart, very special. And I think they're great films. They have a bit of everything. And especially R2, because we had Peter and Christopher. And the other one was the swashbuckling. So it was a nice mix. I was so lucky. Right time, right place, maybe. Yes, lovely question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Sí, per mi sí.
Moments.
Sí, sí.
Moments.
Oh, I was it. Oh, I didn't.
Was it like?
Was it? Am I a horror fan? Was that the
Did
question?
you just? That was kind
No,
of the question.
he has
okay.
like
Oh,
even though you appear in all
Yeah.
sorts of films in
Yeah.
your career, but
What genre do
especially
you like?
oh.
in horror or science fiction, how did you end up doing
How did
so
I
many?
do them?
Oh, so that is
Yeah,
that.
that's
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so maybe
I
that's
got it.
okay.
That's okay,
No,
yeah.
it's
Sorry.
okay.
No, that's mine.
I'm a fan. Listen, I love film. I do a television program in England called The Cellar Club, and it's on every Friday night. And we see a lot of old films, a lot of films dating back to the 40s, 30s and 40s, a lot of black and white films, and we talk about them. So I'm just addicted to film. My mum used to take me when I was a little girl to see film, and I fell in love with it then. Film and music. I like music too. Yeah.
Sí. Mira, jo soc un gran amant del cinema, l'stop motion, i llavors a mi m'interessa molt l'experiència amb el viatge fantàstic de Simbad,
Yeah.
i amb el Ray Harryhausen, i volia saber més que res, quan tu estaves gravant, com ho feies, com el procés de gravació en el qual t'havies d'imaginar que aquelles criatures estaven i en realitat no hi eren. I llavors, com tu planificaves, com ho preparaves i quina sensació tenies?
I love that question. It's all about Ray Harryhausen's stop motion and how did I feel and how did I prepare for the part, wasn't it? Yes, I think so. That was the question.
Yes, like, absolutely. It's like
You understand Catalan?
I don't know, but I can understand. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it?
okay, bye.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. No, I understood everything. How do I prepare when there's nothing there? And Ray Harryhausen. No, I understand. Sorry. Yes. Again, it was for me a different experience, which I'd never done before, and I was not the first choice for as Mariana in The Golden Voyage of Simbad. I was not the first choice at all. They wanted Ray and Charles Schneer, who was the producer, wanted a big name, obviously, because it had a budget. Hammer was small budget, this was bigger, because I think it was Columbia Pictures, I think it was. So they wanted, actually I think they wanted, she's no longer here, but she was wonderful, Raquel Welch. I think that was their first choice, a big American name. Me, didn't know me, but because I'd worked with Brian Clemens, our director on Kronos, and the screenwriter for Simbad, he wrote the screenplay. He said, I think you should have a look at some of the footage. So reluctantly, Ray and Charlie Schneer, the producer of Simbad, came and they saw some footage. And then after that, they thought I was right to play Mariana. And so I went on to play Mariana, and I reckon, I think about it now, I think, well, Raquel Welch would have been fabulous, but I was very cheap. You know, if you look at it that way, I would have cost a lot. And for me, you know, I loved playing her. She was so sweet. She wasn't stupid, but she was quite a bright lady. She was a slave girl. Mariana was a slave girl. But she had this magical thing about her, and this is why she joined the voyage with Simbad, because there was something special that Simbad saw in her. I mean, he thought she looked okay, but also she had something that was vital to the story. And working with Ray, who became a really, really close friend, and I'm still wonderful friends, very good friends with Vanessa Harryhausen, his daughter. So much so that they asked me to be on the board of people, collaborators for the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation. That's the word. Yes, so I did that for a while, and then I'm still such a huge fan and in awe of Ray's work, because for me he was the godfather of stop motion. He learned with Willis O'Brien. If you go back, he was a very young boy when he saw Willis O'Brien and Godzilla and King Kong, but he made it his own, and he worked on his own totally. He would shoot the live action first with Gordon Hessler, our director, English director actually. We filmed all in Spain. We filmed in Mallorca. We filmed at the Caves of Arta. We filmed all over Spain. So I got to know Spain very well and fell in love with Spain. And then when it came to do the special effects scenes, especially for me, my character, who was vulnerable in ways, he got for me a huge wooden stick, a huge, maybe 20 foot high, very high. And on the top of the stick, he was a wonderful artist. He'd show us the storyboards before we'd work, so we'd know what we'd be up against. I knew I was going to be carried away by the centaur. So he'd draw this wonderful cardboard wooden cutout of an eye. So he did this beautiful eye, coloured the eye in. So my eye line would be the eye. So the eye would be moving and my eyes would be following. And that would be the centaur that was coming to get me. So he was genius that way, he was so clever. He was like a one-man band. And I think working with him, again, I learned a lot from the stop motion. So the secret, I think you're thinking, how did I prepare? I prepared in not a technical way, but in a childlike way, in a way, by getting in touch with a fear that I had when I was a little girl, a fear of a little creepy creature being in my bedroom, so I prepared that way, and then I could do it, if that makes sense. Because nothing was there apart from the stick. Ray took a year to put all the creatures together after we'd shot all the live action, which was amazing because you'd think it would be the other way around. And when he did Carly, the 6-armed or 8-armed, 6-armed goddess, that was amazing. 3 stuntmen with John Philip Law, and then he'd rehearse with the stuntmen with 6 swords. And John just had the 1 sword, and they'd rehearse. And then each time they'd take 1 stuntman away, and then he'd rehearse with 4 swords, took the next one away, just 2 swords, 1 stuntman, and eventually John was blocking the way that Ray would want it. A genius. So this is how his process worked, and this is how we worked. It was very organic. It was kind of, you kind of went with it, which is how I like to do, a bit like this interview. I like it to be, as real as it can be, if that makes sense. I don't know if I've answered your question, but maybe. I don't know. Sorry, Sabina, I've done it again.
Did you understand it?
Some.
Pues, mira, precisament per les pel·lícules de Simbad sempre Luigi Cozzi diu que...
Luigi was a big fan.
Que la va escollir per Starcrash.
Sí.
M'agradaria saber què va ser per ella passar de ser l'acompanyant de l'heroi a ser l'heroïna de la pel·lícula.
It was a homage to Ray. Luigi was a homage to Ray because he loved Ray's work, and he met Ray and he thought he was genius. So the nod within Starcrash was with the golems and the creatures was a nod to Ray, and a lovely one too, homage to Ray. I loved working with Luigi. He He was hard-working. He's very passionate about film and very knowledgeable. And I think he's been to Be Retina. I know he has.
Yes.
Did you meet him?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. How did you find him? Lovely.
Yes.
Què et va semblar, Luigi?
Increïble. El vaig conèixer a Sitges, el vaig tindre l'oportunitat d'entrevistar-lo aquí. És una persona increïble.
His passion and his knowledge of film,
Sí.
and he writes books. I just adore him. And his wife, was she here, Letitia?
Yes.
Yeah. No, she's always there. She's his rock.
Yeah.
No. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. But connected to Luigi, Alex was asking, how do you feel? Because Luigi, thanks to Simbad, casting for the incredible Starcrash.
He did.
So Alex was asking, how were you feeling from being going with the main character, the hero, to becoming the main hero of the film in Starcrash?
Do you know, I didn't really think about that. I knew, yes, I suppose if I look at it, it was Stella Star. And I didn't really think about it particularly. Maybe after, when people say, oh, Stella Star, I think, yeah, I was Stella Star. For that time, I was Stella Star. And I found it wonderful to be working in Italy and to be working with such a brilliant crew, and the locations we went to in Italy. We filmed on the top of Mount Etna, and that's no CGI. Don't forget, back in the day, 70s, 60s, everything was done in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
So the blood, we're nipping back for a second. So the blood you saw in the Dracula films and the horror films you saw it before your eyes, which helps an actor, I think, because then you're there. But with Luigi, he was going to add a lot of that after. But the locations were wonderful. The Cinecittà, we worked in famous Cinecittà, which was unbelievably impressive because, and Fellini came. I remember Fellini coming on the set when I had Fellini's makeup person make me up, which was wonderful. Fellini, because he made up, Marino Carboni was his name, and he made up Sophie Loren. So I had Sophie Loren's makeup person. I mean, how good is that? And then Fellini came. So it was a wonderful experience. It was very hard work, and I got very fit. I remember doing it because I had 1 week by myself and the crew. None of the other actors or people had arrived. So I was there, and we went to a place called Camacchio in Italy. It was near Bologna. So we went there, and I filmed for 1 week running through the marshes. They were filming. I was running with a gun because I was escaping prison. I'd escaped. Stella had escaped. So I remember doing that week, and that was a very hard week to do. But again, I got very fit doing it, and they kind of taught me a bit of karate moves. I had one unfortunate thing with a stuntman though. It was my fault. We had to, it was the troglodytes. I don't know if you've seen the film at all, Starcrash?
Yes, many times.
So the scene with the troglodytes, with the troglodytes, I had to fight the troglodytes. David Hasselhoff had rescued me. David Hasselhoff. Funny. Wonderful. Wacky, but very sweet too. Very sweet. He rescued me, and then we had all the troglodytes around us, and they were stuntmen, and Federico was the main stuntman who arranged it. So I had to fight with two stuntmen. So we blocked it, and I remember Luigi saying, and Federico saying, when Motove, when you go, you go, Stella Star goes, and you do what we taught. So right, I'm ready, I'm Stella Star, I can do it. I'm scared, but I can do it. So the stuntman, the troglodyte, came at me, but before he came at me, Luigi said, Motove, boom. his nose, I hurt his nose, I hit his nose bled. And Stella Star cried. Terrible! I cried, that was awful. I did. I was so upset, I'd hurt his nose. He was okay, because I went up, I said, yeah, okay, tutto va bene. He said, sì, but there's blood. I said, no, it's not okay. I got another staff member. And Luigi said, Carolina, you went too quick. And I said, but you said motor. He said, yes, for the men, not you. So I got it wrong. So I was very careful next time. And then he ducked.
Sí.
Yeah.
I tried in English.
Last question.
Okay.
And the movies that you did in the 70s and the 80s were different. Maybe it's probably that the scripts that you received in the 80s contains a different point of view of the feminine characters, so more misogynic.
Yes, I think you're right. I mean, obviously it changed. It actually started to change, I think, certainly for Hammer, it changed when the Americans started with The Exorcist and a lot of the Texas Chainsaw, a lot of the hardcore horror films came from America. So Hammer did not, even though it was legendary and had wonderful history, and it was a gentler, form of horror, I think America started to have really good films coming in. So I think that was a struggle for Hammer. And yes, the roles for women definitely changed in that time. And of course you had the Bond films, and maybe before the women were not merely decoration. They still had good brains, and they could operate well. But I think certainly with the later films that came along, albeit thrillers, adventure films, or the women came into their own. Certainly now, you look at the women's characters now. I mean, they are really powerful. You get some wonderfully written roles for women now, and for older women. I look at some of the old. You've still got wonderful Judi Dench, the best Bond woman ever. We think, don't we? Best Bond woman ever. I mean, she's still going strong. She's unbelievable. And Helen Mirren. I mean, these wonderful English actresses that are still going. So roles have definitely got better, but I think I've gone off the point. I think I've gone off the point a bit. I think I have gone off the point. So what was the point?
Yes, the script, the point of view, the script.
Yes, but what?
And did you like this kind of point of view, more violence to the woman character?
No. I can't say I like that. In fact, Maniac, I went on to do a film called Maniac, which was shot with lovely Joe Spinell again. I worked with him 3 times. The last horror film which they're showing tonight. He's brilliant in that. He's funny, he's quirky. Are you not here tonight?
Yes.
Oh, you are here tonight?
Yeah.
Great. Have you seen the film or not? No.
Yes.
Oh, you have seen it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting film. It's an interesting film. Guerrilla film before guerrilla film, that one, as was Maniac. So I got to work with Joe twice. I think I've gone off the point again.
You had all the women's groups then.
Oh yes. So when Maniac came out, and it had a big premiere, it was in New York, the premiere, so we flew over for the premiere in New York, and it was the same time the American hostages were released from there. I don't know what, something, it was either a plane or there were a lot of hostages. They'd been held for a lot of length of time in the Middle East, and they were released. So it was the same night, so that they were celebrating the same night as we were having the premiere of Maniac in New York in a big theatre. So the after party was to be somehow with the released hostages, the American heroes, and so our party kind of combined with theirs, which was very bizarre. But I just remember seeing I first saw the final cut, and I was quite shocked because I was with my husband at the time, and we were quite shocked because what on the written page was not necessarily what was on screen. It was brilliantly done. It was Tom Savini, at the kind of not pinnacle, but the start of his extraordinary career. and the effects were really mind-blowing, head-blowing in his case, but at the time, you know, they were really quite graphic. So I was involved with that new movement, yes, and that was, I can't remember when I did it, 80 or something, maybe?
80.
Yeah. Was it 80?
80,
It was
80.
80, okay. Yeah, and that again was accidental. I just happened to be in New York at Fangoria magazine, they invited me there, and Joe's actress, Dario Argento's wife, couldn't make it over, so he asked me, read the script, thought, this is interesting. I love working with Joe. I felt very comfortable, as you know. So I agreed to do it, little knowing the effect. I got to go, haven't I?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I know. My time is up. I'm sorry, I don't know if I've answered properly.
But yeah, you have se acabó.